My name is Ethan. When I was born, my mother discovered I was a boy. Despite her weakened body after childbirth, she wrapped her trembling hands tightly around my tiny neck. She squeezed with such force that my eyes rolled back, foam spilling from my mouth. I was on the verge of death when Grandma rushed in and tore me from my mother's grasp. My mother burst into tears, crying, "We agreed beforehand. We made a deal, following the rules of your family for generations. If it's a girl, we keep her. If it's a boy, we send him away." Grandma glared at her with fury. That was then. Things are different now. No one is going to harm my grandson, only keeping girls and killing the boys. That's no tradition, that's a curse on our bloodline. My grandfather had passed away long ago, leaving Grandma as the unquestioned head of the household. My father, with his crippled leg, could only obey her. He spent most of his days silently sitting by the doorway, smoking cheap cigarettes, lost in thought. My mother came to our ancient village to work as a midwife, and that's how my father met her. The villagers were captivated by her delicate features and fair skin. Many men wanted to marry her, but she had one condition: she would only give birth to daughters. If she ever bore a son, that child must be sent away, and any daughter she raised must, upon growing up, become a midwife like her. In a village where sons were valued above all else, this was madness. The men called her insane, saying, "Only daughters, that's cutting off the family line." At the time, my father was already well into his 30s. Because of his disability, he'd never found a wife, and Grandma feared the family line would end with him. Desperate, she went against tradition and married my mother into the family, and soon after, I was born a boy. Grandma, unwilling to keep her original promise and fearing that my mother might harm me, kicked my mother out of the house before she had even finished her postpartum confinement, forcing her to return to her own family home. The next morning, when Grandma went outside to gather firewood, she found my mother hanging from the tall tree in front of our house. "This is a curse. Do you want to destroy our entire family?" Grandma grabbed a bamboo pole and tried to beat the hanging corpse, but my father rushed out and stopped her. In our town, the front door of a home was called the Gate of Life. If someone died there, it was believed to bring ruin and extinction to the entire family line. When the villagers heard what had happened, the entire town erupted in gossip. They said my mother had deliberately killed herself there so she could return as a vengeful ghost to claim our lives. They even refused to let her be buried in the village cemetery, fearing it would poison the town's feng shui and bring disaster to everyone. My father fought against them, even taking a blow to the head from a hoe that split his scalp open. With no other choice, Grandma buried my mother 100 yards from our house, in the middle of our cornfield, once an old field where our family grew crops. Each spring, when the golden corn stalks swayed above her grave, they looked brighter than any funeral flowers. After the burial, Grandma rebuilt the house and even changed the direction of our front door to avoid misfortune. The villagers mocked her, saying she was foolish and superstitious, but Grandma didn't care. She would rather be laughed at than let the gate of life be blocked by death. Years passed. By the time I turned 16, I dropped out of school and returned home to work the fields, living a quiet and poor life. I had no memory of my mother at all. To me, she was a stranger, a ghost of a story I'd only heard from Grandma, who sat by the doorway stitching shoes sawless and cursing her as that damned woman. Until the nightmares began. That's when I truly saw my mother. She appeared in my dreams, a pale, fair-skinned woman wearing a crimson robe. She stood at a distance, smiling softly, and beckoned me to come closer. But when I stepped toward her, she suddenly vanished. Then, I felt a cold chill creeping up my spine. When I turned around, a skeleton draped in red cloth stood behind me, staring at me with hollow eye sockets. Its bony hand clamped around my throat and lifted me into the air. I had this exact same dream 3 times. Each time, it ended with my throat being squeezed before I woke up drenched in cold sweat, terrified. Frightened beyond belief, I told Grandma about the dreams. She frowned deeply and said, "She must be short on money in the afterlife. Tonight, we'll burn some offerings to appease her soul." That night, we went to my mother's grave carrying candles and paper money. As I stood there, a sudden gust of wind swept past, chilling me to the bone. I turned my head sharply toward the house and saw the line of poplar trees swaying violently. In the flickering darkness, I thought I saw a woman in red hanging from one of the branches, swinging gently in the wind. That tree, the thick, towering one, was where my mother had hung herself. Grandma once told me that tree had been planted by my grandfather when he was young. By now, it stood over 20 meters tall. How could a single woman have climbed so high to hang herself? It made no sense. Grandma knelt by the grave, lit the candles, and prayed, "Sarah, you've been gone for so many years. Don't come back to torment Ethan. These offerings are for you. If it's not enough, come to me in a dream and tell me. Just stop scaring the boy." Suddenly, a violent gust blew out the candles and scattered the paper money into the darkness. Grandma cursed furiously. "You ungrateful woman! You refuse kindness and spit on mercy. If you won't give up this madness, I swear I'll fight you myself. Ethan, let's go." We left without gathering anything, Grandma gripping my hand tightly as we fled. As we hurried away, I glanced back. The wind had stopped the moment we left. On the way home, Grandma said solemnly, "Ethan, if you ever dream of your mother again, tell me right away. I'll handle it." I nodded, my whole body cold and trembling. I had never seen a ghost before. I didn't know if what I saw was truly my mother, or something far worse. That night, I went to bed early and fell into another strange dream. In it, I was digging endlessly into the dirt with my bare hands. My fingers were raw and bleeding, but I couldn't stop. No matter how tired I felt, I just kept digging. Then, I was jolted awake by Grandma's furious shouting outside. "Who dares dig up my family's grave? Digging up a grave will bring a curse upon you." I rubbed my eyes, groggy, and stumbled into the yard, saying, "Grandma, stop yelling like that. You'll never catch the grave robber by shouting." Grandma turned to look at me. Her wrinkled face instantly went pale. Her legs trembled so violently she almost collapsed. She stared at me in absolute terror, her mouth open in a silent scream.